And their own data indicates 83% of people slaughtered in Gaza, 83% are civilians.
That's
Israel, the IDF, just shot and killed. Stop, don't interrupt me. IDF just shot and killed an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old in Gaza, claiming that they had crossed the yellow line when no such thing happened. And they tried to make it seem as though an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old are literal militants deserving of the type of slaughter they were met with. Okay?
You know, the absolute most desperate weapon of a failing political establishment is, well, it's the weaponization of fake outrage. You're about to watch a total system failure on live TV. Journalist Kasparian and literally a children's educator were just targeted by an establishment hit list. And their crime? Showing empathy for starving kids and actually citing the military's own internal data? But instead of backing down, groveling for forgiveness like these media elites always expect you to do, Anna went on Piers Morgan and she brought the receipts. Watch these establishment gatekeepers basically short circuit in real time. Stick around, because I'm going to be giving my full thoughts and breaking down the massive financial grift behind all of this at the exact end of the clip. If you want the raw truth, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now. You are watching Floor Leader Insider. Let's roll the tape.
Kasparian, you're on the list. You've been nominated. How do you feel about that?
I feel fine about it because obviously the list is not one that actually contains real anti-Semites. It's a list that contains individuals who are sometimes very aggressively critical of a foreign country's government, and that would be the country that's currently engaging in multiple wars in an effort to annex more land and territory that doesn't belong to them. And of course, that's Israel. And if anyone's under the impression that putting me on lists is going to dissuade me from speaking the truth about what's going on in the Middle East, they'd sadly be mistaken. And I know a little information about the grotesque woman behind Stop Anti-Semitism, which we can talk about a little bit if you'd like. But I feel fine about being included in that list. And Miss Rachel is a national treasure.
Well, let's come to the case against her before I go to my other panelists. The Stop Anti-Semitism citation for Miss Rachel's nomination states since earlier this year, Ms. Rachel has published Hamas propaganda to millions, sharing debunked images, inflated casualty claims, and almost entirely ignoring Israeli child victims. My point to you, Jake Donnelly, she's entitled, if she wants, to give more attention to kids in Gaza than Israeli kids. If she completely ignored what has happened to Israeli children, that's one thing. But if she's acknowledged it, but chosen to give more of her time to Gazan children, that doesn't make her anti-Semitic.
No, it doesn't. And first up, Piers, thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak about this. What makes her anti-Semitic is her relationship with Azaza. Because if you're going to be a children's entertainer, you shouldn't have somebody on your show who glorifies the murder of 38 Israeli children. That doesn't make any sense to me. And any parent that puts their child in front of somebody like that so that she can push her propaganda, use fake AI imagery in order to do so, and to continue to just publish everywhere the Hamas-run numbers, 14,000 imminent starving children. I've yet to see where any of those are. Yeah, that is what makes you an anti-Semite. So it's not necessarily the one-sided stuff that she does, but when you go and you talk about all of the children, well, okay, why don't you talk about the 12 children that were murdered by Hezbollah? The Druze children who are simply playing soccer. She says that she cares about all of the children, but I don't see that. In fact, I see what she's doing as a political game, and I'd rather call this stuff out in 1933 than call it out in November 1938. And that's what I'm seeing. And
okay,
that's
and also to be clear then, all right, but to be clear, if that is your criteria, is that she shows selective empathy, and we'll come to the issue of Weaponized Azaza in a moment, but if that's your criteria, should we then apply the same criteria to any pro-Israeli commentator on social media or on the airways, wherever it may be, who has shown selective empathy towards the plight of Israeli children, but never addressed the plight of Palestinian children? Are they Islamophobic?
I think well, those were two different questions. So for somebody like me, let's just take my case. You will see on my actual X page that I am constantly republishing, reposting, and commenting on the Center for Peace Communications, which are the people who are pushing the Palestinians that are against both Hamas as well as the Palestinian Authority. So when it comes to people who are acting entirely one-sided, I don't want any of that. We have Anna here, and actually, from my opinion, Anna's not the worst of the worst by any stretch of the imagination.
But do you believe she's anti-Semitic?
No, I do not. I do not believe that Anna is anti-Semitic. Okay. I think that she can sometimes be easily manipulated and push the same Hamas-run Ministry of Health numbers.
And out of interest, Jay. And Jay, before Anna, I'll come to Anna. I'll let you respond.
Let's talk about data. No. I get to respond to that. Let's talk about data from the IDF, the IDF's internal data. I don't read American media on what's happening in the Middle East. I actually like to read Israeli media because they're super honest, and I really appreciate their honesty. So Israeli papers got a hold of the IDF's internal data in regard to civilian casualties in Gaza. And their own data indicates 83% of people slaughtered in Gaza, 83% are civilians.
That's
Israel, the IDF, just shot and killed. Stop, don't interrupt me. IDF just shot and killed an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old in Gaza, claiming that they had crossed the yellow line when no such thing happened. And they tried to make it seem as though an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old are literal militants deserving of the type of slaughter they were met with. Okay, listen, I am not going to sit here and just stomach the ridiculous propaganda and lies that keeps getting regurgitated over and over and over again. You guys have to find better talking points. You really do, because these have been debunked over and over again on this show, and they will continue to be debunked on this show, on my show. Americans aren't stupid. They see what's happening. The evidence is abundantly clear. What's amazing to me is the dehumanization of every human life that isn't Israeli or isn't in favor of what that disgusting genocidal government is up to.
Okay, look, we've had some tech issues, Jake, with your signal, so we're trying to fix that. Let me go to Hen Mezzig.
Divine intervention must be.
Well, Hen Mezzig, you've been listening to this. What is your response to what Anna just said?
Yeah, it's rich to speak about dehumanization from a person that said that all Israelis should be ashamed of themselves, that we are demons, that the Jewish lobby controls the U.S., that Israel is a Nazi state.
The Jewish lobby does control the U.S.
Okay, all right. So
Where's
just
the lie?
prove my point, thanks. The problem is that you are not able to look in the mirror and see who you are and what you're doing to the Jewish community.
Oh, I look in the mirror
once
every
the Jewish
day,
community is calling you out for the way you are harming us, instead of listening and trying to change your ways, you're doubling down. And as long as you're going to do that, yes, we are going to continue calling you what you are and saying that what you're doing is really harming our community. So it's what's disgusting here, Anna, is that you are unable to hear to a minority community telling you that your words have contributed to an atmosphere that gets our people killed outside of our synagogues because of your words, because of statements that you said that others like you have said.
They weren't included on the anti-Semite list, by the way. The guy who killed 2 Israeli embassy workers, this year, okay, the actual anti-Semite who murdered people, didn't make it on the list. Right. Fascinating.
Right.
Stop and really think about the sheer absurdity of the moment you just watched. You literally had a political panelist admit on live television that an actual violent extremist, a guy who murdered embassy workers, didn't even make their little list. But a preschool teacher did? Miss Rachel makes the cut? Why? Because, look, that list has absolutely nothing to do with combating genuine bigotry. It's a cynical, political extortion tool. The whole point is to protect a multi-billion-dollar military-industrial pipeline. When Anakasparian sat there and presented undeniable reality like the IDF's own internal data showing 83% of casualties in Gaza are civilians, their only defense was character assassination. Because, God forbid, if they actually debate the facts, the American taxpayer might wake up and realize exactly what they are being forced to fund. Let's connect the dots here and follow the money. Because their panic, it is entirely rooted in the financial data. The public is waking up to this massive grift. Look at the numbers. According to an Institute for Global Affairs poll from just last month, May 2026, the consensus has completely fractured. Only 16% of Americans believe we should keep handing over blank checks and unrestricted weapons to Israel. The narrative is dead. So what happens? The establishment has to literally buy compliance. We're talking about recent FEC filings confirming that AIPAC and these affiliated super PACs are just flooding tens of millions of dollars into the 2026 congressional races. They are paying an absolute premium to crush, smear, and completely destroy any candidate who dares to even question this funding. And you have to ask yourself, why is this funding guarded so fiercely? It's simple. War is the single most reliable profit model in Washington. Major defense contractors like L3 Harris, they just posted over $5.7 billion in Q1 revenue. And they are explicitly bragging to their investors about the, quote, heightened global demand for missile systems. They are experiencing historic profit surges. Meanwhile, the exact same working class Americans who are bankrolling those weapons are, drowning in inflation. We have a catastrophic housing crisis. But they need you terrified. They need you terrified of being smeared so you don't look at the math. They want you arguing over an influencer's selective empathy so you don't stop and ask why your own community is intentionally starved of resources to fund endless foreign wars. Kasparian didn't just win a debate here. She completely exposed the boundary where the media's fake morality ends and the military-industrial complex begins. And honestly, it is disgusting to watch them try to cover it up. Look, here at Floor Leader Insider, we don't play the Uniparty's games. We don't buy the corporate media's lies. We track the money. If you are done with the sanitized, fake versions of the truth, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like, let me know what you thought about Anna's response in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.